Hello, ski racing fans, and welcome to the American Downhillers Podcast, Season 3, Episode number 3. Today's podcast is all about Bormio. I'm two-time Olympian Doug Lewis, and way back in 1985 at the World Championships, I finished third at Bormio, the first ever race on the track that has become known as the most challenging course on circuit. Joining me is AJ Kitt, who raced to second place in Bormio in 1995, and Marco Sullivan, who had 4 top 15s on the Bormio course, and Daron Rawls, who won 2 World Cups at Bormio, as well as the silver medal at the Worlds in the downhill on the Bormio track. And as our special guest, we have an amazing champion from Austria, an Olympic downhill silver medalist, a downhill world champion, winner of 19 World Cups, including 3 downhills at Bormio. Please welcome Michael Walchhofer, all the way from Austria. Michael, where are you, and did you get to ski today?
Yeah, hi guys. Great to be with you in this talk. I'm at home, sitting in my office in the hotel in South Jose. It's in the middle of Salzburger Land, and yeah, we get a lot of snow the last days, so perfect winter start for Christmas. It's done.
Nice. This is the American Downhillers podcast, but we were talking earlier and you said you started your career in slalom. How did you progress from slalom into speed?
I start my career in slalom 99 in Kranjska with a ninth place in slalom was really brilliant for me, especially the Austrians were so strong at that time in downhill, and it wasn't a chance for a young racer to get a place or a start chance in their speed disciplines. So I have to do slalom, and that was not that bad, but and the year over the 2000 millennium, the slalom skis are going shorter, and so I have to switch more to the downhill. And then some Herman get injured, and Max Franz get injured, and then I get a place on our downhill team, and I have to do the plans. And but it was a hard time because we are so strong in the team at that time.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what it was like coming up for you in the era of Knaus and Meyer and Eberharder and all those great Austrian downhillers that, I mean, I was in the middle of it. My career was really, really strong in the early 90s. And then those guys came in the mid 90s, and it was so much more difficult to be competitive. What was it like as an Austrian coming up with those guys?
It was very interesting. I was a little bit younger too, was 3, 4 years than about Hermann, Strobel, Fritz, or Hans Knaus and all that guys. And especially Hermann, uh, he came from 0 to 100 in 1 year, and nobody knows him before, and that was really special for those guys. They are in the World Cup at that time, and I'm watching this situation a little bit on side, and was easier for me. But there was a really huge pressure on every of the team, and you have, if one racer get injured, then you have to use this chance and do a good job for just 1 or 2 races that you get this chance.
Yes. So, Michael, you said that season, Werner Franz and Hermann Maier got injured. That gave you an opportunity to come in and do a race. And what race was that? And how did you finish?
The season starts in World Cup in Aspen with 2 slaloms in November or December 2001. And the downhills in US were cancelled. And so our first downhill the season was in December 2001 in Val d'Isère. And it was also my first World Cup downhill, and, or my first in this season. And I was third, and give me a good chance for the next race. But my really first downhill race was in Kitzbühel by the Combine, 2001 in January, because you get more start places for the Austrian because of the combined, and I get won as slalom racer, and that I did the ninth place, my first Kitzbühel and first World Cup race. But
Jeez.
in the next race after my ninth place in Kitzbühel, I didn't get a chance because Hans Knaus came back from his injury, and I was out on the team.
That's crazy. I mean, your first race in Kitzbühel, I mean, obviously a lot of nerves, and it's hard to step up into that kind of race. To get ninth in the downhill, and then the next week you don't get a start.
Michael, how did you feel so comfortable, like going from slalom into downhill? Did you train a lot of downhill when you were younger?
I did train a lot of downhill. We have also at home in our ski resort good chances for it. But then I switched more for slalom. I love the ski slalom, and when I was in start 2 times in Schladming by the night race, it's a huge race. A lot of fans there, about 45,000 watching the race, and I say, what are the downhillers? We have Schladming, a great night race. There's so great atmosphere there, but 1 year later, when I start first time on Kitzbühel downhill, it was much bigger there, because you're fighting not just for a good victory, or you're fighting also for your life. It was really great feeling if you came over the finish line after the first run in Pittsburgh.
Talk about being on the team. What was the team atmosphere on such a strong team?
For sure, not everybody working together, but yeah, it was sometimes really atmosphere. We are nearly friends, for sure, more than less. It's nearly the same as in a company. You have friends for more than less, and so it's the same in the team. But big thing was we are working more together than less, and that's what was enough to be successful.
Who are the couple teammates that you worked the most with?
It's a very difficult question.
That's right.
Robert Fritz or Bene Reich or also Hermann Mayer, they are good friends of mine, but at the end of the day, it's not easy to share all those good information you got about the key equipment or something like that. It was always a little bit special, for sure, but we try to share a little bit, yes, but not everything.
Hey, I want to hear a little bit more about when you were younger in the downhill training that you did when you were a younger ski racer coming up. How old were you when you first ran your first downhill or began to do some downhill training?
For sure, I grew up in the ski area in Southern. I was on ski maybe with 3 years of age, but I raced my first race with an age of 8, so it was not that early. And then I came to Ming in a secondary school, and it was also a boarding school with focus on skiing, and that was really great for me. So we have been there in our class, about 10 or 12 boys who gonna be faster in skiing, and our trainer made a very different program with us. We go skiing with cross-country skiing, jumping over different bumps, and do a lot of special and also off-piste skiing a lot of. So I think that was also a reason we didn't ski that many in the gates. For sure, also slalom and GS gates was important, but not just gates. And when we have been 10 or 12, we go up with the gondola in Schladming at first, with the first gondola in 8 in the morning. No people was there, and we just going down from top till the uh, over the track in hockey. At the moment, it's not allowed for the teacher or for the trainer to do this with young people, and so it was a different time without helmet, without any fences, and now you have to secure everything, and it makes it in the moment a little bit harder for the coaches to do those things that we have done.
In America, we call it bombing. We tell the kids to just go up to the top and ski down as fast as they can, and they just don't hit any of the public, just ski around them, and that's called bombing. The ski patrol hates the bombing.
If you've ever dreamed of going to Wengen or Kitzbühel to watch the classic World Cup downhills, the ADL Ski Club is for you. Their small group trips are geared for passionate skiers and big race fans. They take you to the heart of ski racing's biggest races at the Laberhorn, Hahnenkamm, and Schladming Night Slalom. This year's trip to Wengen still has space available. If you and some friends want to experience one of the greatest classic downhills and do some big Swiss free skiing, just mention American Downhillers and save $800 now. Our own AJ Kidd has been on both the Wengen and Kitzbühel trips. The ADL has a ton of special access passes to the races, parties, and athletes, which make the Ski World Cup unique among all professional sports. Now is the perfect time to get your name on the list for this year's Wengen Lauberhorn trip or next year's Kitz trip. Visit ADL Ski Club, that's adlskiclub.com, and reach out to them to secure your spot. You were so strong, Michael, and the Austrians have always been so strong, but after 2 races this year, you got a 9th is your best Austrian, Babinski. 13th is Kriegmeier. This is overall. And 19th is Marco Schwartz. Can you talk about the Austrian speed team now? Is it injuries? Is it retirement? Or what's wrong with the Austrian downhill team?
Nothing is wrong with the team, but they are not that strong for sure. But we have some really good races, especially the 9th place for Marco Schwartz was brilliant. He is really good in the moment in slalom and GS, and he's starting his downhill career in the moment. And I am sure we can see him. He brings a good races next time, but the Super G victory was on Vince Kriegmeier in Val Gardena. He's also in really good shape, especially Bormio. It's a race he can do really good, I think so. And yeah, we have not that many strong racers. We have just someone, and we will see. In Bormio, Emmett Dani is also have been in Super G second in Val Gardena, and I remember have done a great training last year at Bormio, so maybe he can perform there.
It sounds like you're still definitely watching ski racing a lot. Are you involved with the team at all? Are you helping those guys, or are you just a fan now?
I'm just a fan now. My only connection to the skiing families. We are in a 2-year wheel with St. Anton in Zauchensee. We are the Women's World Cup Klassiker. And from the 12th till the 14th of January, we have 3 races in Zauchensee, and I'm the president of the organization committee here. And so I have to do a little bit with the ski family, but not that many.
All right, moving on to Bormio. First question is going to be very short. What's one word, only one word, and yours can be in German, Michael, one word to describe the Bormio course? Who wants up first?
Scary.
Scary. Marco says scary.
I will say it's a very tough
Tough.
course here.
I'm going to go with tiring, but I got a lot of other words for it too.
D Money,
I'd say fun.
fun. I'll say intense. From the first jump, 5 seconds in to the bottom, it's intense. Michael, you won 3 times there. What's one memory that you had that's amazing, and can you describe it at Bormio?
Well, Bormio was physically very, how do you say, demanding. And if you see the races in the finish line, everybody was just on the limit. And that was the special thing. And that Bormio, there's no chance to rest in the whole track. So it's full speed and technical parts from start to the finish area. Yeah, that was core Bormio for me, and especially the first race after Christmas, a lot of good food at home, and then you come to Bormio, and it was just tough.
Yeah, what do you think your strength was at Bormio? Why were you so dominant in Bormio, and not just 3 wins, but on the podium a number of times as well?
I think it's a course where you need from all things a little bit. So you have to be a good glider. There are huge jumps and some difficult technical parts, and it's a high speed section in the first half of the course, and all those together, I think, is Bormio. And if you see Valgardena, it's a course normally for good gliders, and Bormio, you need everything, and maybe that was good for me. And so it's also I'm for sure I was normally better in Val Gardena or like Luis, but these courses are easier, and easier courses maybe more difficult to win because there are more races. They could be fast on that course, and Bormio, the races they could win this course are not that many. And yeah, maybe that's the reason, hopefully.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Bormio is like the whole package, and I don't know if it gets enough recognition for all the different elements that it has. I mean, you know, Wengen's known for the high speeds of Honigsschuss and the total overall length, and you know, Kitzbühel is known for the Zielschuss and the Mauserfalli, and you know, so all these other courses are kind of known for the maximums that they have. But Bormio really brings everything. I mean, like Daron said, you go out of the start and one turn, you're off this huge, you launched off this huge jump, right? You land, and the next thing you know, you're just rocketed down this turbo road with maximum speed, and then at the end of that, you've got 4 gigantic turns that are huge. It require huge strength, and then you know, then you've got another traverse, and you know, there's, like you said, Michael, there's no let up. There's no, you're at the limit all the time. You're at the limit of speed. You're at the limit of air. You're at the limit of turns. And then before you know it, you've got, you know, you're coming into the final 30 seconds of the race, and you're at the limit of your energy. You're just so tired at the end. And I think for me, that's what's about Bormio, is that it's just, you're at the limit all the time. And I mean, it's a thrilling course to race. But I don't know if Bormio really gets the recognition that it deserves by being one of the greatest courses that we have.
I'm going to put Marco on the spot. All of us have podiums there, Marco. You have like 4 top 15s. Was it something about this course? Did you feel like you lacked something? What didn't you understand about this course?
But I think the part that always got me was the final pitch. And the reason my word was scary was that my legs were always smoked coming into the last pitch, and it was so icy and bumpy. And I just, even if I was like in shape in certain years, in my head, I never had the confidence to like really charge the last pitch. I was always felt like I was done, and there was still, you know, those 4 turns to go. And I think that's why I just never was able to like really master that thing. And Yeah, it's one of those courses that probably I was actually scared in the start my first couple times there, which I don't think happened on any other course. Bormio just always had me. I never overcame it.
Well, Marco, I try to share some of my training for Bormio routines, and that one time I took you top of Donner Summit, and we put some weight vests on, and it was the full maximum limit, sprinting up the mountain and then doing it a couple of times, and we're laying there. I mean, maybe you could explain that a little bit, but that was to me the way I get prepared for Bormio. It was physical, just max effort, plus that mental grind, and knowing that you're training harder than you'll ever have to race at a level physically. But after that one time, I don't think you came back and did it again with me.
Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have done a few more of those sessions with Daron. I mean, it was always impressive to watch guys like Daron, like Michael. I mean, you guys were in my generation the epitome of like toughness. Coming onto that final pitch at Bormio and just still charging. That was so cool to watch, and I think that's definitely what it takes to be good on that hill.
It was a limit that you're on, and everybody's hurting physically, but it's also a mental game at the bottom of Bormio. Just continue to fight. But what was your toughest training situation physically going into the season to basically get prepared for the Bormio race?
Yeah, right. The finish area was always a fight for survival, and and we trained the whole year for that, and then I any more fight. But in the end, you have to focus for the victory, and then you can just feel the course and not your legs. And for me, before after San Pietro, there about 5 or 7 seconds, you're in hockey and you can think about, oh, I'm tired. But then comes the last part and you haven't time to think about it. And that is just a fight and uh, for everyone. And but that's the game, and that makes it special, and that makes it make the feeling so good in the finish if you're doing good.
So I ran it in 1985, the first ever time it was run, but it was in March. So lots of sun and a little bit easier. But because it was our first race ever, we took every training run. It always seems to me, and you guys can talk about this, at Bormio especially, sometimes they don't push on training runs. They might not take all the training runs. Is that just to save your energy and save your legs? And what was your technique, Michael, on training runs at Bormio?
At first, you're right. For me, I mainly have two races. In December, it's very dark there. The sun is so flat, and in February or March, there is much better light there, and it's a little bit not easier, but different. And that's also a good input. You say trainings, you have to save a little bit energy, and some of the racers are doing a perfect and brilliant training run, and you mean can I beat them tomorrow because they are doing so well in training? But in the end of the day, you saw that they uh, put all they have in the training, and then the race is coming, and they're maybe a little bit tired or empty, and that brings the chance to the other races. And sometimes I have been the lucky guy uh, to did it on the race day. Because if I did good in training, then I was worse in race, and I need a lot of pressure on my race day. And if I had a bad training run, then pressure was more on my mind, and uh, I did my best races always on a big pressure, and I did also normally. I wasn't a good training racer. I need I need this focus for the race, and it was not a tactic. It was my way for be successful.
That's super
Yeah,
important to have that self-awareness. Marco, Darren, AJ, did you want to have confidence from a training run, or were you like Michael Walchhofer? Talk about how you like to go into the race.
Yeah, I definitely like to have a good training run, but I mean, in a place like Bormio and Wengen, where it's so physically depleting, demanding, it just takes your energy. I definitely held back in training at both of those places, and I do remember skipping training runs. I both Wengen and Bormio, I would try to take the first training run and then skip one and then go race. Not in my first years, but after after 6 or 8 years there, you know the course, and you can maybe survive without taking every training run. It's physically for me, it was better.
I remember a lot of times in Bormio, for us, there was only one scheduled training run because it was right after Christmas. Guys didn't want to travel on Christmas. And I remember several years, like, they just scheduled one training and then race the next day. So it was full on. Like I would try to get a pretty solid training run just to be comfortable on the course. But yeah, then hopping right into the race and being a little tired already, I guess.
and my tactic was to push really hard through the course and then ease up on the bottom. I just felt like I wanted to have that intensity, and I was confident in myself, like fitness, where I could go do a good recovery right after the training run and be ready the next day. And I think the standout race for me in Bormio was I won 2 training runs and the race. So 3 days in a row, just had like unbelievable amount of like speed and confidence. And it always helped me to be fast on training, and then knowing that I could recover and be ready for the next day. One thing earlier in our career, we had played a lot of hockey over Christmas with the Canadians. And I remember 2 days of playing hockey, ice skating, and then trying to go in the Bormio first training run where your legs are already tired was not a good, a tactic or approach for that race. So later in my career, started really more focusing on just being physically fresh and prepped and ready to go. And I think that the Christmas meals were good because you get a lot of like calories and energy from a big Christmas meal, but then relax and save some strength for each day on snow. And Bormio was tough too because sometimes we go there, there'd be no snow for training. So I remember going up to the middle lodge there by San Pietro jump, and just taking running shoes and having to go for a jog and do some plyos and all that because we did not make a turn on like in a training course before we had the race run. So it was always kind of a challenge, like getting yourself physically ready for that track as well.
Hey, Doug Lewis here, and I want to talk about the American Downhiller Speed Camp. American Downhiller is the leader in teaching young ski racers how to go fast and have fun. 2023 will mark the 6th annual American Downhiller Speed Skills Camp in Mammoth Mountain. Our speed camp is coached exclusively by current and former World Cup racers and coaches who are passionate about helping the next generation of athletes achieve their dreams. We specifically focus on aerodynamics, jumping technique, speed tactics, and the mental training required to safely navigate Super G and downhill race courses. If you are a ski racer who wants to go fast, check out our website, americandownhiller.com, for all specific camp dates. Michael and Darren, who have won the course, is there a critical spot, or thinking back, where you won it always, or did you win it in different spots? Michael, you can go first. You had 3 wins. Darren, you had 2 plus the silver medal, as I believe.
I won it for me between the Traverse and the San Pietro camp. That was for me my hotspot because it's a high speed compression, and I'm a tall racer, and it was very important for me to have a good body tension, and that was always in my focus to be compact and not that high, and especially at that part, it was always for me important to be compact, and it was my special.
Yeah, I think it's hard to pick out one because you got to be competitive and fast everywhere, top to bottom. And I would say what Michael's saying, that was the entrance, the left footer going into the traverse was really important. I remember putting one of my best turns down, like race after race. There on that left foot as you come back under the chair, entering the traverse, you take, and if you come in clean and fully commit to rolling up on the edge and not throwing like any snow or hitting the brakes at all, it's a big turn. It's almost like a 180-degree turn coming back. And I felt like I made a lot of speed there, taking it across the traverse. And then really at the bottom, focusing on good aerodynamics, no matter how tired and scared you are, just trying to keep those hands in front of you to break the break the wind. And going back to what Michael was saying, being really compact and having that tension in the core and all that pressure, you're driving in the skis and you're taking it, you're projecting in the next turn. And so those last couple of turns on the last pitch going to the finish, I felt that's where I was making up some more time as well on on the track.
Wend produces a sophisticated line of ski and snowboard waxes for use by skiers, riders, racers, and shops. The current Wend snow wax formulations have come from over 50 years of progressive blend reformulation and on-slope and in-lab testing. This has been in conjunction with the feedback of some of the world's top ski and snowboard athletes. Athletes who know real speed, like Kitzbühel champ Daron Rolfs and 2019 Birds of Prey GS champion Tommy Ford. Wend no longer sells any products containing fluorocarbon compounds and instead utilizes natural, plant-derived and/or biodegradable additives that substantially increase the overall eco-friendliness of the Wend Snow Wax product line. Give Wend a follow on Instagram at Wend Waxworks and purchase your Wend products at wendperformance.com. And don't forget to use the code ADH20 for 20% off your purchase.
I had one question I wanted to ask Michael. I remember staying in the hotel I forget which race, but we were in the same hotel as you guys, and at breakfast, you had you had like 6 pieces of bread and jam and butter, and it like still is in my memory because you ate so much bread at breakfast, and I still think about that when people are like gluten-free and stuff. Did you have a certain breakfast you would eat before a race, or what was your strategy for eating on a race day or training day?
Breakfast was my most important food in the day, and I always try to celebrate a little bit the breakfast, and I need a coffee and a lot of time for breakfast, and that brings me in my day. But I couldn't remember. But in Austria, we have a really good bread, and we eat maybe more of them than US guys. But, was not my strategy. It was my it's my tradition.
I tell you, I eat a lot more bread when I go to Austria and Switzerland because it's so good, much better than we have in America. And you also have a cookbook, Michael, about certain like dishes from each World Cup stop. Was that kind of a tradition that you had through your career and decided to kind of like put that in a written form to share it with the world? But or is there like a couple of just your favorite dishes that are in there, kind of tied into the World Cup season?
Yeah, food is very important for me, and the cookbook I write with my chef from the hotel together. So the stories comes from me, and the receipts are coming from the chef. But I eat everything in the book, and yeah, it was very interesting and nice experience.
Is your favorite meal for dinner Wiener Schnitzel?
Uh, every kind of meat.
Yeah.
Protein boy.
For sure. In Austria, Wiener Schnitzel is every day good.
I'm going to go back to being on the Austrian team. I don't know how it is now. Maybe they have their own rooms, but I always had a roommate. Sometimes it was Bill Johnson. It was a nightmare. He was not my best friend, but I gravitated toward Michael Brown, and we were just very similar. Who was your favorite roommate on tour, and why? Are we
At
going to
the
get in
end of
trouble?
my career, I was always in a single room. It was a privilege. It was really nice because sometimes you say it's a nightmare to because everybody focused on your own things. And but I have good memories on Christoph Gruber, or I've been 3 weeks in with Steffi Eberhardt in Portillo in the same room. It was really good, and we have a lot of fun there. So it changed a little bit over the years. Yeah.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, look how big Michael is, 6'4". You know, it's like the rooms in Austria are pretty small. It's hard to fit two big guys, two big downhillers in the same room.
Michael, do you still stay in touch with any of your old teammates, Eberharder or Gruber or Meyer? You see those guys around?
yes, I do. Uh, it's not Austria is smaller for sure, but it's not easy to go for just for coffee to Benny Reich. But I've known with all those guys, especially Benny or Fritz Strobel or Herman. I phone with them sometimes, or we have a meeting together. And yeah, it's a good atmosphere when we meet each other. So you guys, if you come to Austria, yeah, I'm welcome in my hotel.
I had an incredible experience a couple of years ago in your hotel Central with you, Benny, and Gunther Matter. We were at the Stammtisch table and little evening, you know, gathering, and behind the table is this glass case of Michael's like crystal globes from downhill, Olympic, World Championship medals, all these incredible trophies, and just I mean, it feels like you're in a museum with all the hardware back there from all the races. But it was really special. I remember we had some wine, some schnapps, and just hanging out with Benny Reich, and Gunther Matter was a big idol of mine. He was like the #1 guy that I paid attention to growing up. And then you, of course, being a really serious competitor for me. I had a lot of respect for you through my whole career. I watched what you were doing, Michael, like on the track and trying to pick up like you know, your line and why you're skiing so fast. And I mean, to like take it from a competition level where you're fighting always for, you know, the fastest run, to like having a great friendship. I mean, it's nice to have that later in life, you know, where you can connect with your friends. And Marco, AJ, Louis, we all get together and we see each other quite a bit too. And it's nice to have that tight kind of, you know, family feeling with your former teammates. I got one question from Michelle, my wife. She wanted to know how you and Barbara met.
Not on pace because Barbara isn't a big fan of ski racing. But yeah, that's me. Also, but that was for me always good because when I come home after a race, we never have to talk about skiing. So all other things was important. Not and so no skiing was on the plan.
I have a question. Hopefully, it doesn't get anybody in trouble, but I was in the bar when Bill Johnson and Klammer called him the nose picker, and there was a big fight. Austrians, Americans was a little bit intense, the relationship. However, on my side, Klammer, Wernsberger, Hoflaner were really good friends. Michael, what was your relationship with the U.S. team or with the U.S. athletes like Daron? Was there a mutual respect? Did you kind of hate him a little bit, but also like him?
No, I liked them really a lot. The relationship to Darren was always special, always very good, and you see with full of respect. And my first fight for the downhill whole globe was with Bode Miller, and it was a special year for me. It was 2004-5, and Bode did also great season, downhill season. He win the gold medal in the World Championships in Bormio there, and did second there and third. But in the end of the season, I was the downhill winner, and Bode was on my side and said, "Oh, that's the goal I want to get also." So the overall downhill World Cup was important for him, and Bode was really different to me because I need the pressure for good races, and he, I think so, was the opposite. He have to be relaxed, and he was fast, and if he wanna things a lot of, then he was not that good. I think so. Maybe Daron knows him better, but yeah, we have some really good years together with Darren, and especially between 1001 till 6, Austrian and the US downhill races was very successful.
Marco, AJ, who was that Austrian nemesis or rival that you respected, but also, wanted to beat?
I had Klaus Kroll and I were the same age, a little bit younger than Michael, but when I was first on the World Cup, it was watching Michael and Daron and Eberharder and Herman. Those guys were just so strong. The Austrians, to me, were the power team, like it said on the suits. Like always trying to beat those guys. And later on, once Michael retired and that crew kind of phased out, it was the Klaus Kroll, and he was one that stood out in my mind because we were the same age, and we actually tied one time up for the podium at Lake Louise. We tied for third place, and it was just kind of funny because we were always battling.
For me, it was more the Swiss were the dominant team in my era. I mean, I was in there between the era of like Stock and Wernsberger and Hoflaner, as those guys were retiring, and before the era of like Hermann Maier and Eberharder and those guys. For sure, there were some strong Austrians. I mean, Armin Ossinger and I became good buddies at the time, but really it was Heinzer was the guy like in my era, and then actually in my last 4 years, Luc Alphon was the guy. So the French. I mean, it was an era where there was a lot more parity, I think, within all the teams in the middle 90s there. But for sure, coming in for me, the Swiss were the group. I mean, it was Zurbriggen and Daniel Marr and Peter Mueller were the dominant ski racers in downhill at the time, and Girardelli, and I mean we had a great diversity of nations represented in downhill.
So kind of lucky to hit the Austrians when they were regrouping.
We got them when they were weak.
Besides Bormio, Michael, was there a course on World Cup that you didn't win, or you still think about, I wanted to win that one or do better?
I can remember. I think I'm winner nearly on every nearly, because I know one that was in Chamonix. I've been there just third, and I think every other track you can win this one. It's not that bad.
That's an amazing stat. That's probably pretty rare for a downhiller to say. I mean, you really had the gliding skills and the technical skills, and it's so rare to have someone that's actually won on every track. That's really cool.
What I really enjoy is that you were a race day guy, Michael. Like, you like the stress. Marco, AJ, Daron, were you that way, or did you like training more and had to get up? I thought I was a race day guy too. I like the timer on. I like the cameras on. I like the pressure. How about you three?
Yeah, I like race day for sure. I definitely, that was what I was built for. I can't say that I dealt with the pressure as well as I would have liked to, but race day was what I lived for.
I agree. Me too. Like, didn't always step up and come through, but I was generally better on the race day. And that was part of my strategy too. If I had a crappy training run, I was like, that doesn't matter. I'm here for the race day. That's when it all matters.
Doug Lewis here. If you are a U12, U14, or U16, Elite Team fitness camps are for you. This is not your average fitness camp, as we teach the vital skills of sports psychology and sports nutrition, along with tough, challenging workouts. You will leave camp with more power, strength, and agility, with a deeper understanding about nutrition, and with the mental skills of confidence, focus, and pushing limits, which will take you to the next level. Over our 30 years, we have coached Olympic champions, World Cup stars, NCAA champions, including U.S. ski teamers Michaela Schifrin, Lauren Masuga, Alice Merriweather, Jimmy Krupka, Grace Henderson, and Sammy Worthington. And finally, although we push our limits to the edge, we have a ton of fun. We are holding 2 week-long sessions this July at the Killington Mountain School. Find all the info at eliteteam.com. So we're going to end with picks. So the top 3 Bormio downhill. So I'll go first. I'm going to have Paris winning because he just came off Val Gardena. He's back. Pick. Okay, but I got second and third. So
why do you
Paris
get to go
wins.
first? You're the host. Come on.
All right, I got Paris. Because we have Michael Walchhofer on, I'm going to go an Austrian, Kriechmeier in second, and I'm going to put RCS, who has won on this course in Super G and been second. I'm going to go RCS third. So those are my picks. Who wants next?
I'm going to go with my tradition of sticking with the American winner. RCS is going to step up again. Dominic Paris second, and Odermatt third. We're going to save Walchhofer for last. So
Okay,
AJ or
I'll jump in then. Okay, so I also like Paris. I like Kilda, and I like Bryce Bennett.
I think you forgot Vince Kriechmeier, maybe.
Yeah, it's difficult to pick. There's so many good guys.
All right, we're going to end it with you, Walchhofer. You can't pick 3 Austrians.
Yeah, I think Vince Kriechmeier, Daniel Himmelsberger, and maybe Bryce Bennett. Yeah, he is not that bad, and would be interesting to see him in Bormio.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for listening and watching to our American Downhiller podcast. Special thanks to Michael Walchhofer, who defined the Austrian downhiller: confident, tall, technical, with a feel for the ski. Please spread the word about the American Downhillers podcast. Share with your friends, coaches, teammates, and your club. You can find us on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And thank to our American Downhiller sponsors: ADL Ski Club, Wend Wax, Elite Team Fitness Programs, and of course, the American Downhillers Camps. Stay tuned for more American Downhiller podcasts. For AJ, Daron, and Marco, thanks for listening.